Hello and welcome to the FatBoss Guide to co-rag on Mythic difficulty in Highmaul.
And this fight has become a lot more crazy in comparison to what it was on normal. There's a shit ton of fire everywhere, people getting mind controlled from orbs. It's really good though. You'll probably be wanting to do this boss as your 5th boss in terms of your progression, because Butcher is quite a lot more difficult than this in terms of your DPS. So this is the 5th boss and it's very good.
Now before we go into the guide for this encounter, please do click up on the annotation on your screen now if you haven't done this encounter on Heroic or on normal. Go learn those mechanics and then come back and we'll teach you all you need to know for Mythic. Now for this encounter you do want to bring 2 tanks, 4 healers, and very importantly you need to bring at least 6 physical DPS, but you don't want to bring too much physical DPS and not enough magic, because you do need to break the boss's shield. In the majority of kills we've done, we've always brought 6 physical DPS and 8 magic DPS. Now before we go into the reasoning behind that, let's just talk about the new boss mechanics and learn those first.
And kicking it off, we're going to talk about a new Expel magic spell, which is Expel Magic Fell. Now this will debuff 3 random players in your raid for 11 seconds, and once this debuff does expire, it will create a straight line of green fire between where you are now and where you first got the debuff. So ideally, in order to keep the fire from being everywhere, if you get the debuff and stand still for the whole time, or at least return back to the spot where you first got the debuff, it will leave a tiny little pool of fire on the ground. It does last for a long time, but at least it isn't a giant line across the whole fucking room. A big note about this is that it can go on melee, and it's really fucking shit if it does, because the boss does run around with Suppression Field and all that kind of jazz. But what you can do is follow the boss around and just remember where you were when you got the debuff, and then just run over, drop the debuff off, and then go back to the boss.
And one thing to note, this ability does come in pretty much every 11 seconds. Someone in the raid will almost always have it. So it is fundamentally important that you do try and keep this fire to a minimum, otherwise you'll just end up having no room, which sucks. So yeah, just make sure that you keep your fire patches to a minimum. Now the other expel magics in the encounter are exactly the same as what they were on Heroic, but there is slightly different ways you need to deal with them on Mythic, and there's a couple of tips that we maybe didn't talk about in the Heroic guide that you might find useful. So on the Expel Magic Fire, you still need to make sure that you're spread. If you have 2 Shadow Priests, do Mass Dispel. You don't want your healers to Mass Dispel it. It just costs too much. Get your Shadows to do it. If you are going to Mass Dispel melee, then you need to make sure that they are spread first, because otherwise they're just going to kill each other. So just keep that in mind. Arcane tanks, again, this works exactly the same way. Just make sure that there's a clear path for you to take when you do actually get the debuff. Now for the Shadow, you want to treat it the exact same way as you did on Heroic as well. However, with your healing composition, if you can bring 3 healers that have huge output through CDs, such as a Healing Tide Totem, a Tranquility, a Hymn, a Revival, anything like that, if you can bring 3 healers to deal with those shadows, that's awesome. If you can only bring 2, then it doesn't matter. We have had kills where for example, we use 2 Paladins and a Druid and a Monk. It sucks when you get to the 3rd shadow and you don't have any healing CDs, as in a massive trank or anything like that, but you can still do it. That's when you want other people in your raid to start helping you out using healing tonics or amps or anything like that, or VEs or vigils, anything just to get rid of it. But ultimately, if you can bring 3 output healers, that will make the shadow really easy. And as for the frost, again, use Stampeding Roars just to remove the debuff. You can also use Windwall Totem, that will work. You don't need to run away from it, literally just clear the debuff and you won't have to worry about it ever again. And also one really amazing thing about this frost is that we didn't talk about in the Heroic guide, is that if you're a hunter or a priest and the boss targets the frost on you, if you use Feign Death or Spectral Guise, he will stop casting it, it will not go out, it will not hit your raid, it will not slow the raid, but it will go on cooldown. So if you have those abilities, try and do them. It will help your healers a shit ton, because the frost does a lot of damage. It will knock people to around half health, 40% health, so that will save a lot of mana. And Night Elves Shadow Meld, I guess, would work with this as well. We're Horde, so we don't actually know.
Yeah, it may work. We're not 100% sure, so try it out.
It should work.
Yeah, why not? Now the Suppression Field is of course still in this fight, and it's very important that you do put them in nice places for the tanks, especially because you're going to have a shit ton of fire from the fell fire everywhere and all that kind of stuff. It is important that they are in nice spaces so the ads can be brought into them. If you do have the Expel Magic Fell on you, of course you do need to move if the Suppression Field is either on top of you or very close by. It's generally best just to move to the very edge of the circle so that line is just contained within the Suppression Field, not all over the fucking room. Now the boss on Mythic still has a huge fucking magic absorb shield, and when you do take it down, he'll go into the middle in his little powered down phase, and you can go in and get the shield. Now on Mythic, 2 players can go inside instead of 1. Now you really want to do this, and you kind of need to do this, because the rate in which the Orbs spawn has gone up a ton, and we'll cover that a little bit later.
Now the ticking damage inside hurts way more than it did on Heroic. It's probably almost double or triple the amount of damage that it did on Heroic, and instead of having one player inside, you have to have two, which means that you need to assign your healers to heal a target each. If you don't do this, then they're almost going to immediately die. Now, absorb shields and unconventional ways of regaining health actually work inside, which makes Dark Bargaining, Alter Time, and high self-healing mechanics really, really strong for this. So for the people to go inside, you really want to assign people like Warlocks and Mages. If you don't have them available to you, you can do it without them, but it just makes the healer's job a lot harder. So as a Warlock, when you just go inside, you want to Dark Bargain just after, say, 2 or 3 ticks, just as you start to drop, and while it is active, you pretty much take no damage. You do not need to be healed at all. However, as soon as it fades, you really want to get your Dark Regen in, because obviously you have the dot on you and you're going to be taking damage. But you can use things like Unending Resolve just to reduce the amount of Dark Bargain actually ticks on you. It just helps a little bit. And as a mage, you can use Alter Time at 100% health, and then as soon as you're about to like die almost, you can use Alter Time again, and then that's it, your health's gone back to full. You should also probably spec Cauterize just for like safety measures. It really, really helps. And of course, have your healing tonic available with you. But they're definitely the 2 best classes for it. Warlocks and Mages are really, really good. Now, in this phase, you can't really just have all 4 healers spamming just the 2 people inside, because unfortunately, you do have ads spawning, and the ads do hurt the tanks quite a lot. So what really you want to do is assign 1 healer to keep the tank up, and your other 3 healers just to spam the people who are inside. Now, Holy Paladins, if you spec for it correctly, you can make it so your wings are up every single time for this phase, and having wings up for this point just makes it so much easier. You can pretty much just solo heal one of them, and having double beacon, of course, you're healing the other one as well, which is really, really good, which means you can pretty much rely on the 2 other healers just to keep one guy up themselves. Now, one thing on Mythic is that the guys that are actually inside the shield, they can leave at any point and go back inside, whereas on normal mode, if you do that, then you just can't go back in. So it's really, really useful to know that, because if you are going to die inside, you can just quickly jump out. Like if a healer says we've got nothing left or our CDs are running out, quickly get the fuck out, then you can, and you can just go back in as soon as you've got full health. Or you can just go in and out, in and out, in and out if you are really, really struggling to heal this up. But for the first 2 people that go inside, and probably the second set of people that go inside as well, you want them to have the biggest shield possible. So yeah, they need to remain in there the full time.
Now, of course, during this power down phase, the ads will continuously spawn, and just make sure you do just pick them up and then just keep throwing them into the suppression fields.
Like you did on Heroic.
Yeah, it's exactly same as it is on Heroic.
And just when the tank does go inside there, it's probably a good idea just to give him CDs, because he is going to be silenced. And you may even want to use things like Vortex while they're inside it, and the tank can just run away so he doesn't have to tank them.
Yeah, mass stuns and stuff like that are good as well. You don't want to use all of your sort of stunning stuff, because you're going to need them in a minute. But yeah, you can use like AoE CC on them, and it would be fine. Now, moving on to probably the most important mechanic in the entire fight, which of course is the Orbs. One of the changes to these Orbs on Mythic, of course, as I did say before, is that they do spawn at a much quicker rate. On normal Heroic, you'll kind of have 1 orb drop a couple of times, then it goes to 2, and then 3, and then 4. However, on Mythic, on your first set of orb drops, you'll get 1 orb drop, and then on the second wave you get 2, third wave you get 3, fourth wave you get 4, etc, etc. So the orbs spawn at a much, much quicker rate, but of course you do have more shields, because of course 2 people can go inside instead of 1. Another major change to the orbs is that every even set of orbs, so when 2, 4, 6, or 8 orbs drop at once, they are changed into a new type of orb, which is an arcane orb. Now, when this orb does hit the ground, instead of it doing the kind of true-ish damage that the normal orbs do, this actually now does magic damage. So you can actually use things like cooldowns that will help if you accidentally have some sort of excess orbs. When you do soak these orbs, as the person with the shield, you will become mind controlled. Now, you can break the mind control by bringing the player down below 20% HP. However, of course, they've got a huge motherfucking nullification barrier on them, so no magic damage is going to go through unless you want to do 8 mil damage to them. So really, only physical damage is going to work here. Now, while you are mind controlled, all you will do is spam cast a spell called Forfeit Power onto the boss. What this will do, it will remove 5% of your own shield and give it to the boss. This can and needs to be interrupted. One thing to note is that these mind control players can be stunned and death gripped and all that kind of stuff, so if you do manage to fuck up a interrupt, you can always just use one of those to kind of fill in the gap. So what you need to do here is you need to assign a physical DPS to each player who is going to soak an orb. It is their responsibility to go and interrupt and damage that mind control player down to 20% HP.
And this is why it is so important that you bring 6 strong physical damage dealers, because towards the end of the fight you will definitely have 6 people mind controlled at the exact same time. So you need to assign what player interrupts what person, and you need to, of course, assign which players actually go in the middle when the shield is down, just so they can get their own personal shield. Keep in mind, though, the last set of people, so player 5 and 6 that go and get their shield, they shouldn't need a massive shield, so they can be absolutely any player. They don't need to cheese it like a warlock or a mage. So just send in like 2 random people. They can get like a 4 or 5 mil shield and then just move out.
Just to re-emphasize about this mind control though, it is so essential that you break out as soon as possible, because even if one cast goes off onto the boss, you are then going to be behind, which means that you're going to be behind getting new players to get shield, which means that more orbs are going to be spawning, which means you're just going to fall behind on healing because people are going to get one hit. It's bad. You've really got to keep on top of these mind control people, and it's pretty much the main key to the fight is just these mind controls. Now, one situation that can arise is towards the end of the encounter. After the 3rd powered down phase, the boss should be around, what, 20 to 15% HP? Now, at this point, you kind of have a choice on what you want to do. Either you can continue to keep breaking out the mind-controlled targets, or you could let those people get mind-controlled and all of your physical damage DPS say, fuck you to them, and nuke the boss down. If you do decide to do this, you've got to make sure that you have enough damage to nuke the boss down before the next set of orbs come in, because otherwise you're going to have like 7 or maybe 8 giant orbs coming down with no one to soak them.
Yeah, because they're all mind controlled, sat there like lemons.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine to let them just constantly cast, because all they're doing is adding a magic damage shield to the boss, so it makes absolutely no difference. But this will most likely happen to you, and it is so circumstantial on what call you need to make, like whether the boss is high enough, whether or not you got a player dead, or anything like that. So we can't say 100% do this or 100% do that. You got to make a choice. Can you kill the boss before the next set of orbs? If you can, ignore the mind control. If you can't, break out the mind control. That's all you need to do.
But what you got to remember, the longer this fight goes on, the more difficult it becomes, because when you get to the stage where there is 8 orbs landing, you're just simply not going to have enough people with the shield, unless you bring a ginormous amount of spell power, but then you're not going to have enough physical damage to break those mind controls.
Yeah.
And physical damage is the majority of the damage on the boss. You're literally only using the spell power people just to break the boss, just so that you can go and get more shields, because really they're not doing any more damage to the boss apart from that. So with all the other mechanics in mind, if you deal with those exactly how we explained, you shouldn't really have any issues with them. The whole fight is just, can you deal with this mind control mechanic? And can you kill the boss before 8 or even 10 orbs spawn? I mean, really, 10 is going to kill you.
Yeah, I think 8 is pretty much the maximum.
Yeah, I mean,
you
like,
might be able to squeeze through it,
yeah,
because of course that's the magic damage orb set, so you can use cooldowns like your personals and
yeah,
stuff.
and I think our first
it.
kill was like 8 orbs or
yeah, something
like
that. And it did drop down to 6 around now, because, well, it's about 6 or 7, because as your DPS gets better, the boss just becomes easier, because you pretty much have unlimited shields, because everyone's just nuking the boss so fucking hard. So yeah, it does become easier and easier, and it's a very satisfying boss when you get him down.
Yeah, great fight. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If this guide did help you out, then please do drop us down a like. It helps us out a lot. And if you'd like to see more of our Mythic guides, please do click up on the annotations you see on your screen now, and it'll take you straight to those videos.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.